Hello and welcome back to my channel Classic Times. Today I'll be going through stage 9 of the Cambridge Latin course and I'll be explaining the topics of the dative case and pronouns. Okay, let's get on with some Latin. The dative case. As we know confidently in Latin, nouns change their endings to reflect their role or function within a sentence. We are now being introduced to the dative case, which is known as the indirect object. The indirect object is a noun that benefits or suffers from the action of a main verb and is translated into English with the words to or for. Context determines how to translate, but as a general rule of thumb, try to think of what sounds natural in English as to whether to translate it with to or for. Now let's have a look at the dative case endings. So as you can see on this slide, I've got a table with endings you should already be familiar with from a previous video on the nominative and accusative, singular and plural, for all three declensions. But as you can see from the highlighted rows, these are the dative endings. So in the first declension, the dative singular is puelai, and the dative plural is puellis. In the second declension, the noun servus is servo in the dative singular, and servis in the dative plural. And in the third declension, voci is dative singular, and vocibus is the dative plural. There's a summary table of those endings also on this slide. So the first declension, dative singular, ends in AE. Dative plural ends in IS. Second declension, the singular ends in an O, and the plural ends in IS. And the third declension, the singular ends in I, and the plural ends in ibus. Feel free to pause the video if you want to have a look for yourself. Now let's have a look at a couple of examples of the dative. Pater filio donum emit. The father buys a gift for his son. Filius matri donum ostendit. The son shows the gift to the mother. Notice in these two examples how I've translated it with either the words to or for. Now let's have a look at pronouns. Pronouns are words which replace nouns. In Latin, pronouns change or decline to reflect their role in the sentence. The following pronouns need to be learnt. In this stage, we're going to have a look at the pronouns I and you singular. So the pronoun I in the nominative case is ego, meaning I. In the accusative, it's me, meaning me. And in the dative, it's mihi, translating to mean to or for me. And the pronoun you in the singular form is to in the nominative case, which translates to mean you. Ti in the accusative case, which also translates to mean you, and tibi in the dative case, translating to mean to or for you. Feel free to pause the video and try to learn these pronouns. Finally, before we have a look at some more vocab, let's have a look at a few examples of pronouns in use. Tu picturam pingis. You are painting a picture. Athleta te laudat. The athlete praises you. Athleta tibi pecuniam dat. The athlete gives money to you. In these three sentences, notice how the three cases, nominative, then accusative, then dative, alter the meaning of the pronoun within the sentence. Now that we've covered the grammar, let's have a look at some more vocabulary. Agnoscit means recognises. Celerita, quickly Cupit means wants. Dat means gives. Dies is a day. Emittit means throws or sends out. Fert means brings or carries. A homo is a human or a man. Hospes is a guest. Ille means that. Inspicit means looks at or examines. Iterum is again. Manet means remains or stays. Medius is middle. Mox is soon. Offert is offers. Ostendit means shows. Post means after. Proceedit means proceeds. Pulcher means beautiful. Revenit is returns. And tradit means hands over. Now let's have a look at a couple of more examples of the dative. Clemens puellae vinum offerabat. Clemens was offering wine to the girl. Juvenes servo pecuniam tradidit. The young man handed over money to the slave. Now let's have a look at a couple more examples of pronouns. Ego senem saluto. This means I greet the old man. Senex mihi statuam ostendit. The old man shows a stadium to me. Okay, so I now want you to have a go at translating the following sentences on this slide. So pause the video and have a go at those. Okay, let's go through the answers. Dominus servo signum dedit. The master gave a sign to the slave. Notice here that dedit is in the perfect tense, even though it doesn't have one of the V-sucks clue letters. It's just an irregular perfect. Senex me salutat. The old man greets me. Grumio ancillis canam paravit. Grumio prepared a dinner for the slave girls. So if you got all three of those right, consider yourself a Latin legend. If you got two of those right, consider yourself an apprentice. And if you only got one of those right, still don't worry, these were hard sentences. If you didn't get any of them right, then just go back to the drawing board and try to learn some of the basics covered in this video. You've done really well to make it to this point, but now let's have a look at a passage from the Cambridge Latin course. So I'm only going to look at the first few lines of the story in Taberna. Metella et Melissa e Willa Marne discesserunt. Metella and Melissa go out of the house in the morning.
Metella filio togam querabat. Metella was looking for a toga for her son.
Metella et ancilla postquam forum intraverunt tabernam conspexerunt ubi togae optimi erant. Metella and the slave girl, after they entered the forum, caught sight of the shop where the best togas were.
Multi feminae errant in taberna. Many women were in the shop.
Servi feminis stolas ostendebant. The slaves were showing the women long dresses.
Duo gladiatores quoque in taberna errant. Two gladiators were also in the shop.
Servi gladiatoribus tunicas ostendebant. The slaves were showing the gladiators tunics. We've now covered stage 9 of the Cambridge Latin course, so let's summarise. We've met the dative which translates into English meaning two or four. And we've also met the pronouns I and you singular. I'll leave this slide up for a few seconds and feel free to pause the video to reaffirm your knowledge of the endings and the pronouns. But join me in my next video where I'll be explaining stage 10 of the Cambridge Latin course.